Hi, JJ. How are you?
Good, doing good, doing good.
So to start, you gave Dave Bautista his rom-com. It
There
made
you go.
me so happy when I was in there because I was just like, good, this is what he wanted, and it is a rom-com. For the majority of the beginning of this movie, it's just the romantic comedy mixed with a little bit of the action that we see later. When you were working with Dave to kind of figure this out, how did you guys find the balance between the rom-com elements and then the action sequences that kind of drive, especially the later half of the movie?
I didn't actually set out to make an action movie. I was setting out to make kind of a romantic comedy with Dave, and that's, I think when I got the call when I talked to Dave about it, I know he goes, "Hey, it's important to me that we get." And I was like, "Well, this it's a love story that has a train wreck with a fun action movie," and he got it right away. And finding the tone of his character was something that showed up very early in when he first came, and we did a little rehearsal. It showed up immediately. I think we both knew what the exercise was, and finding Sophia Botella to play Maisie was such a huge get, because she has a great chemistry with Dave. It was palpable. It was immediate, and because they've worked together and they were friends, lots of giggling, lots of laughing on set. The energy was perfect, and bringing Ben Kingsley in to kind of top that off, to round that out, and then I brought all my friends with me, all my action brothers and sisters, and that I've worked with for years. And when you go somewhere and if you're going to go somewhere and get into a fight, you bring all your homies and your homegirls. That's what you do. You bring your gang with you, and that's what I did. We had 42 days to shoot this movie in Budapest, and it was during a SAG strike. We had a waiver, but it was a tall order to shoot that movie in that amount of time. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm super proud of it.
Yeah, and I love it's so much fun too for me as someone who I love Dave Bautista as an actor. I liked him as a wrestler, but I think as an actor, he's such an underrated performer because he has this way of playing softness that does not make him as a big man feel weak. It is just a softness that makes you warm to Dave Bautista. But on the flip of that, you are giving Sophia Botella the chance to dance because like she is a dancer and often she uses her dancing abilities for action. In this movie, it kind of does the opposite. She doesn't get to do as much action as she normally is doing. But his dancing, when you are playing with kind of expectations with actors, especially like those two where people go into a movie thinking one thing about them and are often surprised. What is the fun for you as a director to see, now that the movie's out and is coming out on VOD, seeing the reaction to people being like, oh, Dave Bautista's great in another movie, or this is a different side of Sophia Botella.
Yeah, I mean, there's always an expectation when you see certain people in the cast, and so this script actually came to me 10 years ago to be a stunt coordinator. Then it came back to me when I was editing Day Shift, my first movie, to be the second unit director when another director was going to direct it. And then somehow it ended up in my lap. But when I got it, it was supposed to originally be set in London, but we took it to Budapest, and Andrew Lazar and Steve Richards allowed me to bring my friend James Coyne on to do a little bit of a rewrite. I added characters. James and I worked out some characters that I've always wanted to do, and unintelligible Scottish brothers, a salsa dancing assassin, Korean karaoke killers, and a couple of exotic dancers. So I always thought those would be nifty. So we kind of put that DNA in there, and yeah, that's kind of the way it went. And Sophia's character, the Maisie, I was the most worried about her character, like who's going to play that role, because that's a tricky one. Because I needed someone who could really dance, and I don't mean like, oh, I did ballet in the third grade dance. I mean, I needed someone who could really dance, and someone who had chemistry with Dave. So yeah, that was a big score. And I know that she was coming off of Rebel Moon and a big action star, but she was also pretty adamant about, I don't want to do any action. I was like, I don't want you to do any action. I want you to do some dancing, and maybe you'll kick someone in the ding ding and that'll be it. But other than that, it's your character is you're the love interest, and she's the camera loves her and she's so amazing. So it was a real score for me. And Terry Crews, like I love that guy. I go way back with Terry. He's an amazing guy. But having all those elements, it's like when you have all those ingredients to make your shake. It's super tasty when you blend it all together.
When you also got, you brought me Drew McIntyre as an actor because I do think wrestlers make great actors because they're acting in these characters on the WWE
Well,
or they're doing.
Let me ask you something. Let me tell you
Uh-huh.
something. Now that we're talking about wrestlers, so action stars.
Mhm.
So now I've been working with pro wrestlers since the '90s as a stuntman. But look at how many action stars, mega action stars, come from the WWE or
Mhm.
professional wrestling, and then look how many came from Juilliard. I I'm not clowning. I'm just being honest. Like I'm talking about mega action stars. I'm not
It's
talking
true.
about actors. It's a breeding ground because you're acting for 40,000 people live and the people up in the nosebleed. So you have to be over the top
Mhm.
and you have to be able to remember choreography. And I'm not saying that I'm not no knocks on Juilliard, respecting my artists out there, but it is a breeding ground for action stars, and I'm super grateful for those guys.
Yeah, and how was it though? Like, because I talked to Drew during the initial release for the movie, and he was saying how like he never saw himself doing acting, and he did it because Dave Bautista asked him to, and that stuff like that. How is it like kind of facilitating, not like the new, because we don't know what Drew's gonna do next, but like bringing a WWE person into a film set and letting them have that because it was a new side to Drew McIntyre that people probably didn't know that he was that funny.
I'll just say that pro wrestlers are famous stunt people. So I was
Mhm.
a stuntman forever. So usually, as a stunt man or woman, you hide behind the curtain. You don't claim anything. But, it's their face as the wrestlers. They're super humble and super grateful. So for me, having any of those guys or men or women on set, they bring it. There's no selfishness. It's no me, me, me. It's like, what can we do to make it better? Like it was so
Mhm.
it's refreshing and it's cool, and it was another asset. I mean, when I talked to Dave, I said, "Hey, listen, I've got this guy Scott Atkins. He's my bro. I've done a ton of films with him. He's gonna play his. I need somebody to play his brother. I need some giant Scottish brother." And he goes, "I know exactly who to call." And we got him on the phone like a day later, and he was just charming and cool and all about it. So I was so lucky and grateful to get Drew.
Yeah, that is pretty much the definite, because I call him the big boy because he just walks in on the ring and you're like, I'm not fighting that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's Scottish. But for my last question, I do want to ask because I love, you know, the premise of this movie is so funny to me because he could just wait or be a normal guy and he doesn't wait at all. It's just like off to the races the minute he finds out that he's quote unquote sick. And I think it's so funny because you're like, yeah, that is a guy who uses his brain for literally everything else that he has. And then when it comes to very little decisions that like if you pause, you could think it through more, he just is like, nah, just kill me, I'm good. So I think that part of this movie makes it so funny because it is just a very smart man making a very dumb decision right out the gate. When you have something like that flips the movie on its head and changes it from that rom-com we were talking to into this high action uh fight for his life. What for you is the most fun of mapping out exactly how we were going to go on this journey with Dave Bautista's character and make sure that when he made that decision, we're like, this isn't going to go well. And I just know it's not.
So we shot the movie different with different lenses and different lighting when they were falling in love. So the moment the movie turned, we shot it differently. Like I really was very conscious about where I was going to plant and pivot. And it was
Mhm.
important, like again, it's a love story, a romantic comedy that train wrecks with an action movie. The minute we introduce Palm's character,
Mhm.
that's the movie. The movie plants a foot and turns 180s at that moment, and that's it. So it was going all in on that, doing the intros of the hitters, even the set, even the score changed a little bit. So it was very important to me that we stuck the landing on that. And I love to have the upper hand on the audience. I don't want to spoon feed the audience. Like I remember movies like From Dusk Till Dawn. You're
Mhm.
watching a heist movie until it's a vampire film. I love that. Even Day Shift, action, comedy, horror. Like Big Trouble in Little China, Lost Boys, Fright Night, Evil Dead, all those kind of fun. I just want to make fun action movies, fun action horror, fun action comedy. The world is a really strange place right now, Rachel. I don't need to put any shade on it or make it darker. I
Mhm.
just want to do fun things that make people laugh, and that's it. I don't really have a message. I'm not trying to tell you to do something or not do something. Just watch and enjoy. It's over the top fun action.
I agree. I love it. And I will make a bold statement, which is after now you and Chad Zielinski made some of my favorite action movies ever, I'm like, I think maybe stuntmen should just direct action movies because they're really good at it and they're fun to watch.
It's a great time for our department. Like Chad Stahelski and Dave Leitch really tore the doors open for us with, you know, the Wick movies and Deadpool 2 and the Fall Guy, and they're doing great things. I'm so grateful. That was my freshman class when I started doing stunts. We all kind of started together, and to, you know, like they led the way. Like there was guys doing it in the 70s. Hal Needham with the Smokey and the Bandit movies, but nobody really took over. And there's other stunt guys and men and women directing now, but I think the glass ceiling is going to break and then we're going to get more of an opportunity. I'm super excited to see what comes next.
Same. And thank you so much for making the Killers game. It made me so happy seeing Dave Bautista fall in love. So thank you for talking with me today.
You bet, Rachel. Have a good one.
Have a great one.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.